Man is born crying. When he has cried enough, he dies. What if Ran wasn't just a historical epic? What if it was a brutal, breathtaking war between vision and reality? One that nearly collapsed under the weight of its own ambition. Ran wasn't just Akira Kurosawa's masterpiece. It was a battlefield disguised as a film set, where storms ruined call sheets, colors became weapons, and every frame demanded sacrifice. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on 20 weird facts about Ran, 1985. You didn't know, from vanished scripts to near-fatal stunts, from artistic experiments to emotional consequences the cast never forgot. Let's ride into the storm. Hit that play button, this one's wild. Fact number 1. The script lay in a drawer for a decade. Kurosawa begins sketching Ran in the mid-1970s, but the script doesn't move. Not at all. It sits quietly in a drawer for almost 10 years. Producers think the story is too bleak. Others fear the budget. And a few believe audiences won't accept a grand tragedy on this scale anymore. It wasn't hesitation. It was fear. Kurosawa's vision demands thousands of extras, handmade armor, and landscapes that look like paintings. Not ideas, resources, huge ones. What audiences don't know is that Kurosawa's notes include watercolor storyboards for nearly every shot. He paints the film before he ever films the scenes. But without support, the project simply stops. It becomes a ghost film, fully imagined. Never greenlit. Not forgotten, but dormant. Only after Kagemusha succeeds does funding ignite Ran. Suddenly, the dormant dream becomes a marching army. Kurosawa pulls the old folder out, dusts it off, and production begins. But the years of waiting add pressure. The script hasn't changed. The world around it has, and as soon as filming starts, it becomes clear that the decade-long wait didn't calm anything. It only intensified everything headed their way. Fact number 2. The casting starts with an unlikely inspiration. Kurosawa doesn't find Hidetora first. He creates him from history, not from Shakespeare, from Motonari Mori, a real daimyo who had 3 sons and survived betrayals that rivaled even King Lear. It wasn't imitation, it was reinvention. Kurosawa sketches Hidetora as a mix of cruelty, regret, and weathered authority. But then he makes a surprising choice. He picks Tatsuya Nakadai, not for age or resemblance, but because Nakadai has the kind of face that can collapse beautifully. Those are Kurosawa's words. Nakadai is only in his early 50s. Hidetora must look near 80. So makeup teams test dozens of prosthetic ideas. Nothing works. They don't want rubber. They want fragility. Eventually, they craft a makeup system that subtly shifts day by day, making Hidetora appear to decay emotionally as the story unfolds. But here's the weird part. Kurosawa orders Nakadai to train his body movement before any lines are rehearsed. Not walking, collapsing, he practices trembling, slouching, and shrinking into himself. The physical breakdown becomes the backbone of the character. Not makeup, but motion. Fact number 3. They wait for the wind, like it's a main actor. Most films schedule weather. Ran obeys it. Kurosawa wants wind in nearly every battlefield shot. Not a breeze, directional gusts that push smoke, cloth, and ash in specific patterns. He draws arrows on his storyboards, showing wind direction. The crew laughs, until they realize he's serious. Then production turns into a ritual. Call sheets include wind expected around 2 p.m. Entire armies stand in formation, waiting for air to move. Horses grow restless. Extras hold poses for minutes at a time. And Kurosawa just watches the sky. One assistant says, if the wind didn't come, the day didn't exist. Shoot days are lost. Money burns, but the commitment pays off. Those sweeping shots of banners and ash look choreographed. They're not. They're captured moments, controlled only by patience. What audiences don't know is that Kurosawa refuses wind machines. He says they break the illusion. Natural wind is unpredictable, and unpredictability is essential, not affects nature. When the wind finally arrives, cameras roll instantly, crew rushes, extras scramble, and Kurosawa smiles quietly, because the world is finally behaving the way he imagined it. Fact number 4. One armor set takes 70 days to hand paint. Armor in Ran isn't costume design, it's illustration. Kurosawa insists that every piece be painted by hand, with patterns reflecting each character's personality. The armor is functional, heavy, and historically grounded, but it's also a canvas. One suit, Hidetora's, requires almost 70 days to complete. Artisans paint layer after layer, creating subtle gradients that appear different depending on sunlight. Another team crafts armor for the 3 sons. each reflecting their temperament. Taro's bold red, Jiro's colder blue, Saburo's grounded yellow. The crew quickly realizes they're building a museum, not a wardrobe department. But there's a problem. During battle scenes, ash and mud cling to the armor so heavily that colors vanish on camera. Kurosawa halts filming and orders the armor cleaned daily by hand. Some days, the cleaning takes longer than the shoot. This is why the movie's armies look like moving paintings. The armor isn't a visual shorthand. It's storytelling through color, texture, and craftsmanship. What audiences didn't know was that Kurosawa believed armor carried emotional weight, not protection history, and every brushstroke honors that idea. Fact number 5. The crew builds 2 full castles, then burns one. Ran doesn't use miniature models. It builds structures, huge ones. Kurosawa orders 2 full-scale castles, constructed on Mount Aso. These aren't facades, they are functioning architectural structures, with real stone, real halls, and real defensive layers. Why 2? 1. For the early scenes. 1. For destruction. The burning castle sequence is real fire, real wood, real collapse. No digital tricks, no scaled models. The crew rigs the structure with controlled ignition points that allow the castle to burn evenly, while cameras capture the devastation from multiple angles. But here's the twist. Kurosawa requires the castle to burn in silence during filming, not the fire Hidetora's disoriented perspective. The sound is removed later to create that haunting, dreamlike feeling. Filming the burn is terrifying. Heat erupts across the hillside. Horses panic. Crew members retreat farther than planned. Kurosawa doesn't flinch. He watches the destruction like a painter waiting for a canvas to turn into a masterpiece. The shot becomes one of the most iconic images in world cinema, not because of scale, but because the destruction is real. Fact number 6. Nakadai's makeup takes 5 hours every day. Hidetora's transformation is physical labor. Every morning, Tatsuya Nakadai arrives before dawn. Makeup artists spend nearly 5 hours constructing Hidetora's aged skin, hair texture, and weathered look. But Kurosawa insists on details beyond appearance. The makeup must age progressively. That means the team creates multiple versions of Hidetora's face, each showing increasing mental and emotional collapse. Wrinkles deepen, eyeshadows darken, hair thins, cheekbones sharpen. But the strange part is Kurosawa's rule. Nakadai must sleep in partial makeup during multi-day sequences to keep continuity. Powder settles naturally, hair shifts realistically, and the fatigued look becomes authentic. The actor later recalls waking up unable to recognize himself. During shooting, Nakadai sometimes performs for 10 hours without touching up. Sweat becomes part of the look. Sunlight enhances the cracks, and the camera captures an aging king whose face seems carved by exhaustion, not artifice erosion. This slow transformation mirrors the film's structure, a monarch dissolving mentally and physically. Audiences see tragedy. Nakadai feels endurance. Fact number 7. The battle scenes use real armies, not camera tricks. The massive battlefield sequences in Ran shock viewers because nothing feels staged. That's because nothing is. Kurosawa commands hundreds of extras, sometimes over 1,000 positioned, across real landscapes. No green screens, no duplicating crowds. Every soldier you see is physically present. This scale creates chaos. Horses clash unpredictably. Dust clouds rise and obscure cameras. Banners tangle. The crew loses visual markers constantly. Assistant directors sprint across the field holding color-coded flags to signal formations. To maintain order, Kurosawa uses a raised tower. From above, he watches movement like a general commanding troops. The crew jokingly nicknames it the throne. But filming is dangerous. Horses skid on uneven terrain. Extras stumble under heavy armor. One assistant director later admits, "We were filming a war, but sometimes it felt like surviving one." The spectacular battlefield-wide shots aren't cinematic exaggeration, they are logistical miracles. What audiences don't know is how thin the line was between choreography and chaos. The result? Some of the most realistic battle visuals ever put on film. Not because of effects, because they fought for every frame. Fact number 8. Kurosawa controls color like a military strategy. Color in Ran isn't decoration. It's engineering. Kurosawa uses red, blue, and yellow to distinguish the three sons factions. But the real innovation lies in how he times the colors. During battle scenes, Kurosawa demands non-overcast light. He wants colors to pop violently against the grass, dirt, and smoke. If clouds appear, filming stops. Assistants monitor weather hourly. marking times when the sun hits peak brightness. Kurosawa also refuses naturalistic color grading. Instead, he enhances saturation during dailies to create an almost surreal palette, not realism expression. The director believes that color communicates character. Red represents ambition. Blue symbolizes cold logic. Yellow shows loyalty. This foreshadowing helps viewers understand alliances even when thousands of soldiers appear on screen. But color also creates emotional rhythm. Early scenes use balanced tones. As betrayal intensifies, colors clash more sharply. By the final act, palettes collide violently, mirroring the collapse of the family. What audiences didn't know is that the color plan is as strategic as troop movement, not visual flair psychology. Fact number 9. The film crew fought nature itself. Mount Aso is beautiful. It's also unpredictable. Filming on an active volcanic slope becomes a daily gamble. Tremors occur without warning. Ash drifts into equipment. Wind gusts overturn props. And rainstorms appear suddenly, drenching armor and ruining fabric dyes. Kurosawa refuses to move production. He believes the harsh environment reflects the story's themes. So, the crew adapts. They anchor tents with boulders. They build trenches to reroute runoff. They wrap cameras in triple layers of protective cloth, but the landscape remains stubborn. Horses sink into soft soil. Extras slip on slopes. The ground alternates between scorching heat and chilling cold within hours. One cinematographer later says, "It felt like the mountain wanted us gone." Despite everything, the location transforms the film visually. The volcanic plains give Ran its apocalyptic atmosphere and environment that looks carved by fate. What audiences don't know is how much the mountain dictated the shoot, not a backdrop, an unpredictable co-star. Fact number 10. Kurosawa shoots one of the silentest war scenes ever filmed. The Burning Castle Massacre is shocking, not because of the visuals, but because of the silence. Kurosawa records it without diegetic sound. No screams, no clashing swords, just music. The effect? Devastating. He wants audiences to feel Hidetora's disorientation. Chaos with no anchor. Horror that seems distant, yet overwhelming. But this creates a sound design dilemma. Normal battlefield audio must be removed manually. That means eliminating footsteps, wind, flames, and impact noises during post-production. It's meticulous work. Silence becomes its own soundtrack. Crew members initially worry that the silent approach will feel artificial, but when Kurosawa screens the sequence for them, nobody speaks. The silence lands. It's eerie, haunting, almost spiritual, not absence power. The scene becomes one of the most studied moments in film history. Fact number 11. Explosions are practical, and they endanger crew. Kurosawa rejects small pyrotechnics. He demands large-scale, realistic blasts for battlefield scenes. These explosions must create towering columns of smoke visible from miles away. That means bigger charges, wider debris spread, and greater risk. Safety officers mark zones. They warn extras repeatedly, but during filming, wind shifts unpredictably, blowing smoke into charging horses. Animals panic. One nearly throws its rider. Assistants rush to calm them. Camera operators aren't spared. Several lose visibility as ash clouds roll over their equipment. Protective goggles fog instantly. One operator later describes it as shooting inside a storm you created yourself. Yet Kurosawa stays focused. He monitors each blast from his tower, watching the plumes rise like brushstrokes on a canvas. He wants chaos shaped, not random. The resulting visuals are unforgettable. Explosions don't feel like movie effects. They feel like battlefield ruptures tearing the earth open. What audiences didn't know was how close the crew came to losing control. Practical effects gave them beauty and danger in equal measure. Fact number 12. Kurosawa's storyboards are hand-painted artworks. Most directors use line sketches. Kurosawa uses paintings. Dozens of them. Each storyboard panel is a detailed watercolor that matches the intended lighting, atmosphere, and movement of the final shot. These paintings guide the entire crew. Cinematographers refer to them like maps. Costume designers check color balance against them. Even the composer studies them to understand mood shifts. But the surprising part is how accurate they are. When comparing the paintings to the final film, many shots match almost exactly, sometimes down to facial expression and posture. Kurosawa's vision is so precise that the film becomes a literal translation of his artwork. During production, the crew hangs these paintings inside tents to stay aligned. They call it the gallery. But painting every shot takes enormous time. Kurosawa works late into the night, creating new frames, Assistants quietly review drying canvases every morning. These storyboards become collector items after the film's release. Museums display them as fine art, not production notes. Masterpieces guiding AI. Masterpiece. Fact number 13. Crew members call the production the final mountain. At 75, Kurosawa approaches Ran as the culmination of everything he has learned. Crew members sense it. They begin calling the project the final mountain, a metaphor that spreads quietly across the set. This belief creates intense focus. Every department pushes harder. Every mistake feels heavier. People speak in hushed tones near monitors. Extras behave like they're part of something sacred. But the weight brings stress. Production days stretch 15 hours. Breaks shorten. Weather delays amplify pressure. Crew members collapse from fatigue more than once. Yet nobody leaves. They're committed to climbing the mountain with Kurosawa. The director feels the strain too. He rarely smiles, often staring into distances between takes. But when a scene aligns with his vision, he breaks into a rare grin that restores the crew's energy. What audiences don't know is how deeply the team believed they were helping Kurosawa complete a lifetime goal, not another job, an artistic summit. Fact number 14. The film reworks King Lear with radical shifts. Ran is inspired by King Lear, but Kurosawa doesn't adapt it directly. He transforms it. Key characters change roles. Motivations shift. Themes evolve. Instead of focusing solely on familial betrayal, Kurosawa highlights the consequences of a violent life catching up to its architect. Hidetora isn't a gentle king undone by his daughters. He is a hardened warlord whose past brutality returns to crush him. The shift reframes the story from tragedy to inevitability. Kurosawa also replaces the fool Lear's emotional guide with Kiyoami, whose presence becomes both comedic and heartbreaking. Kiyoami is not merely commentary. He is conscience and witness. Historical context also redefines relationships. Alliances reflect feudal dynamics rather than royal politics. Betrayal becomes tactical rather than emotional. These transformations turn the film into a new narrative, not an imitation. Critics call it one of the boldest reinterpretations ever filmed. What audiences didn't know was how intentionally Kurosawa distanced himself from Shakespeare while honoring the structure, not adaptation rebirth. Fact number 15. The score is composed like a requiem. Composer Toru Takemitsu approaches the score not as accompaniment, but as lament. Influenced by No theater, Western orchestration, and Japanese flute music, he creates a soundscape that feels ancient yet modern. The music doesn't fill silence. It shapes it. Takemitsu watches Kurosawa's painted storyboards before composing. He states, "It felt like writing music for a painting that moves." His goal is not emotion, but inevitability, a feeling that events cannot be stopped. Recording the score becomes emotional for musicians. Some describe the music sessions as funeral-like, especially the haunting themes that accompany Hidetora's descent. Takemitsu experiments with space, letting certain notes echo longer than usual. This creates an unsettling emptiness that matches the film's themes. The score is now considered one of the most powerful in global cinema, not background destiny. Fact number 16. The Blue and Red Armies follow real military tactics. Kurosawa studies historical battlefield strategies to stage the film's war scenes. He analyzes arrow volleys, cavalry charges, defensive formations, and siege sequences from various Japanese clans. Then, he assigns specific tactics to each son's army to reflect their personality. Taro's Red Army moves aggressively. Jiro's Blue Army uses deception and flanking. Saburo's Yellow Forces emphasize unity and discipline. These choices shape the movie's visual logic. Even viewers who don't understand the strategies can feel the differences. During rehearsals, Kurosawa instructs extras, using colored flags and diagrams, recreating centuries-old tactics with precise movement. Horses are trained to follow formation patterns, not random charges. Archers practice synchronized volleys to ensure visual rhythm. The result is a battlefield that feels organized, even when chaotic. What audiences didn't know is that Kurosawa designs these tactics partly to help viewers track thousands of moving bodies, not confusion choreography. Fact number 17. Kurosawa nearly loses his vision mid-production. During filming, Kurosawa experiences serious eye strain. Long days under intense sunlight and constant close focus on monitors cause his eyesight to blur. Assistants begin reading call sheets to him. He reviews dailies from a closer distance than before, squinting heavily. Rumors circulate quietly among the crew. Is the master losing his vision? Kurosawa never admits the severity, But he slows down certain tasks. He delegates lighting adjustments. He relies more on assistants to monitor framing, but his intuition remains sharp. Even when straining to see, he notices continuity errors others miss. The crew rallies around him. They adjust equipment height. They offer shade. They move monitors to more comfortable angles. What audiences don't know is how much determination it took for Kurosawa to finish Ran during this period, not weakness, resilience. Fact number 18. The final shot almost doesn't happen. The iconic closing image, the blind monk standing at the castle ruins, faces multiple setbacks. Weather delays the scene repeatedly. Clouds roll in at the wrong moment. Wind pushes fabric unpredictably. And lighting refuses to match Kurosawa's storyboard. For days, the crew prepares and packs up without filming a single frame. Morale dips. The actor waits in costume for hours. Then, on a day when nobody expects success, the sky clears. The light shifts into the exact tone of Kurosawa's painting. The crew scrambles to their positions. Cameras roll instantly. But here's the twist. The actor nearly slips on loose stones during the shot. He steadies himself just enough to maintain the posture. Kurosawa keeps the take. The moment becomes immortal, fragile, haunting, perfectly imperfect, not planned, faded. Fact number 19. Kurosawa uses real fire to control performance rhythm. During several scenes, Kurosawa positions controlled flames near the actors. He doesn't do this for lighting. He does it for emotion. Fire demands attention. Its heat affects breathing. Its movement influences pacing. Actors instinctively adjust their cadence in the presence of flames. For Hidetora's delirium scenes, Kurosawa uses fire to intensify the atmosphere. The heat causes Nakadai's eyes to water naturally. His trembling becomes real. Sweat mixes with makeup, enhancing the aged look. Cinematographers struggle to balance exposure around the flames. The lighting shifts unpredictably, but Kurosawa wants this instability, not consistency energy. The effect becomes one of the film's most memorable qualities. Performances that feel alive, reactive, unpolished in the best way. What audiences didn't know was how close fire was to the actors during filming. Controlled, but powerful. Fact number 20. Every frame is shot with single-camera precision. Despite the scale, Kurosawa refuses multi-camera setups for most scenes. He prefers one camera capturing the exact angle he envisions. This slows production dramatically. It also increases risk. If weather shifts or performances falter, the shot must be restarted from scratch. Crew members sometimes beg for additional cameras during complex moments. Kurosawa refuses. He believes multiple angles dilute intention. This approach forces actors to repeat scenes dozens of times. Horses reposition endlessly. Extras rehearse formations until exhaustion, but the results match the director's painted storyboards. When multi-camera setups are used rarely, they're reserved for scenes with real explosions to ensure safety and coverage. This commitment to single-camera framing gives Ran its operatic look. Every shot feels deliberate, composed, and monumental, not coverage vision. Ran wasn't just a film. It was a final storm, a masterpiece forged through endurance, precision, and vision. If you enjoyed exploring these hidden truths, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes revelations. And remember, even empires fall, but great cinema endures.